Fight on, family. Preston's Paradise here. In today's video, I'm going to speak about a few guys flying a little below the radar right now that may prove to be very valuable pieces as the season gets underway in about a month now. So let's get into it. First guy I'm going to start with is Eli Sanders, redshirt senior running back, transferred over from New Mexico. 147 carries, a little over 1,000 yards on the ground, 9 touchdowns, averaging 7.2 yards a carry last season. And this guy has a lot of production. He has a lot of experience. You guys on this channel know I've been speaking a lot about Wayman Jordan at the running back spot, as well as Brian Jackson really being that number 2. But Eli Sanders, man, he could do some nice things on a football field. He has that breakaway speed. He has that track speed. Seems to be a bit of an outside zone guy, right? Not really or particularly inside the tackles, between the tackles type of runner. I think a situation like that bodes well for a guy like Brian Jackson. I think that's going to be his role in the offense as the season gets underway. But change of pace guy, a guy that has some wheels, can hit a home run at any point, and possibly even a guy that can, see some looks in the special teams game, man. Maybe give a spell to a Makai Lemon, give a spell to somebody in the kick return game, in the punt return game. Also, had 15 interceptions last season at New Mexico. A guy that, in the Lincoln Riley offense, you need a running back to be able to catch some passes. We saw how valuable that was with Woody last year, and he was just a prolific pass catching back in general. But Eli Sanders is a valuable piece, man. I think he's going to make a lot of plays for this USC offense in this conference and throughout the entire season when you talk about the upcoming season for the USC Trojans. Next on the docket, man, I got one of my favorites since he's hit campus, Elijah Newbie. Originally linebacker, made the switch over to defensive end, I believe, in the spring. And people on this channel know, man, I was not happy about that news when I first heard it. He was my next up as far as a linebacker. I think he has a ton of potential with his length and athleticism at the linebacker position, but something recently made me feel a lot better about that decision. Now, during spring, Elijah spoke with media. He spoke on his transition to the defensive line spot. Talked about the fact that he was kind of overthinking things at first, kind of looking for his keys and stuff as a linebacker as well as a defensive end, and just how to relax and kind of play the game and know his responsibilities as a defensive end. He also talked about the fact of, at the time, him weighing 237 and him wanting to be between 245 and 250 as week 1 approached for the Trojans. This is an image that came out last week of Elijah Newbie. USC football did some media, and Elijah Newbie looks around 240, 245 in this image. To me personally, y'all in the comments can let me know how you feel. He looks like a big, bulky guy right here. He looks like he's ready to come off that edge and knock somebody on the ass. You know what I'm saying? So I feel very happy about this imagery here. It makes me feel more confident that he's really taking on the role. He's an unselfish kid, right? Wants to do all he could do to help the team out. So a blessing that he's, embraced the role, embraced opportunity. And at the end of the day, he has the greatest coaches in the world, teaching him to be an edge, man. When you talk about Nua and the players that he's coached, talk about Henny and the players that he's coached. And I think he's going to find success, man. But this imagery from last week that USC football media did made me feel a lot better about how proficient and how good a player Elijah Newbie can be coming off that edge if his body composition is where it needs to be come week 1 and come, the 2025-2026 season. Next up, I got a freshman, Steven Miller, DB safety. He's listed as a safety on USC football. And I just love this kid, man. Something about this kid, like you saw him making some plays last spring. He has nice length between 6'1.5", 6'2". Was a two-sport athlete. I know he played basketball in high school as well. Played on both sides of the football field as well. Offense as a receiver, defense as a DB and a safety. How many of you guys remember this play? The one-handed interception on the sideline that he made during spring. Like I said before, a guy that played both sides of the ball in high school, Georgia high school football, right? So, it's up there in terms of competition, in terms of talent. Played on both sides of the ball, was very proficient, an all-state player on both sides of the ball. And just, with the early enrollees, I have a bit more confidence usually with the early enrollees because they've been around, they've been studying that playbook. They kind of get, a feeling of what it takes to be a collegiate athlete and a collegiate football player, having spent those previous months on campus. And you see him come up and thump that kid. Like, he can really do it all, man. Hell of an athlete. And I think we will see him, get in there at spurts and have the ability to make some of these plays as the season gets underway. Another one of my favorites, defensive tackle Cobie Pepe, man. Had a big jump last season, was super proud of the plays he was making and how he played and held his own throughout the entire course of the season, man. Against good competition, against Notre Dame, against LSU, against Michigan. Like, he was there, man, making plays, holding his own, getting push. And, totaling 19 total tackles, 9 solo, 10 assists. When it comes to Cobie Pepe, I'll make myself clear, man. I wouldn't care if he was a starter on this defense. Like, I would love to see him next to Keyshawn Silver. I would love to see him next to Devin Tompkins, Jakeem Stewart, Ja Jarrett, anybody that we have in that interior defensive line. Cobie Pepe has proven to me that he is going to fight. He is going to, clog things up when he has to. He is going to do his job. And like I said, I will stand by this. Was one of the most consistent players, probably the most consistent interior player on last year's team. Like, as far as interior guys, I think Cobie Pepe was definitely the most consistent player on the interior last season. Can't wait to see how much better he gets this offseason. A lot of competition in the defensive line room. A little bit more competition when we talk about that interior defensive line spot. A lot of guys, a lot of athletic guys, a lot of big guys. But I think Cobie Pepe will still be able to leave his mark come this coming season. Big wide receiver Prince Strawn transferred over from Boise State. And interesting one, man. I'll be honest, I wasn't too moved by Prince until spring ball got here. And I saw his feet. I saw he was moving. I saw how soft his hands were. And I got excited, right? Because a lot of attention is going to be drawn towards Jacoby. A lot of attention is going to be drawn towards Mekhi, towards our running back, our quarterback. But this is a guy, 6'5" receiver, 220 pounds, in a Lincoln Riley offense that could do damage, right? That could do damage. He has not played for a play caller like this. This is also an athlete that has some NFL DNA. His brother was an NFL player drafted by the Colts. I care a lot about the NFL DNA. I mean, that's why that brings me up. When it brings me to the Braylon Shelby conversation, NFL DNA. If your brother's an NFL player, you got that DNA in you. That's potential, right? That's lessons. That is the ability to make things happen and be an elite athlete, right? 25 receptions last year, 300 yards, a touchdown, averaging 12.2 yards a catch. Prince has God-given tools that you can't teach. That size, that height, that length at the wide receiver position, very coveted. And I think we're going to have to use every tool in the toolbox if we want to be as good as we can be this upcoming season. Why not, man? This is a year to pull out all stops, take advantage of everything you can on a football field, every play, every series, and to have a 6'5.5" wide receiver with those hands and that length. Hopefully he gets utilized, but he's a guy that I definitely think can make an impact this upcoming season. And next up, I have a freshman defensive end, Gus Cordova, who wasn't even an early enrollee, but I had to put him in this video just because of the belief I have in this kid, just because of his mentality, man. Gus Cordova is just a different type of cat. We all saw it along the recruiting trail when he started getting interviewed and talking about the kids that were leaving and saying, that he was down with USC and, he didn't really care who left, he was going to be down regardless. Just an absolute dog, high motor kid. Confidence out the window, wants to be the best, wants to start right now as soon as he hits campus. And football is such a mental game, right? Obviously, it's physical. Obviously, you're going to go through physical trials and tribulations, but it is as mental as it is physical. And sure, he's slamming kids on their head in high school last year, but Gus Cordova mentally is super locked in at being probably the best defensive end in the entire country. And I'm not saying he's the only person on the roster that believes or is trying to achieve those goals, but for a freshman to come in there, for a freshman to vocalize that, and then if he goes into practice and practices like that and works like that in the weight room and whatnot, there's no way in my mind I don't see this kid getting on the field at some point, making plays at some point during the course of the season. So last guy I got to talk about as a possible sneaky contributor is Gus Cordova at the defensive end spot, man. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. He's definitely turned into a fan favorite, and can't wait to see what he does, man, in Hollywood and LA for these USC Trojans. Yeah, that's going to do it for my sneaky contributors video. Also, 100th video on the channel, man. So appreciate you guys. Crazy 100 videos posted to this channel about USC football. Shouts out to y'all, man. Shouts out to the subscribers that have stuck with me, rocking with the videos, man. If you guys like the videos, please like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, if you're messing with the channel. A couple of guys too, right? I leave out Jakeem Stewart. I believe he will be a contributor. I've said on this channel before, I believe he's going to be on the 2 deep and may possibly be one of the better defenders on this entire team overall, particularly the defensive line. And then a guy like Walker Lyons at the tight end position, right? The issue is with Walker Lyons is how good is the offensive line going to be? If our offensive line can hold our own, then I believe Walker Lyons has more wiggle, better receiving tight end than McCree. I believe he could be a major contributor if we get him involved in the pass game. We can utilize the tight ends more, all the talent in the tight end room, if the offensive line can hold their own, right? And that's why I was so high on my guy Walter Matthews, because I'm like, man, our tight ends had 0 touchdowns last year. 0 touchdowns last year. So let's try something. You got a tight end in Walter Matthews that has the dimensions of Rob Gronkowski, hanging out on the bench, hasn't seen not one play. But if it's Walker Lyons, if it's Walter Matthews, I would love to see some of the talent in the tight end room utilized. But Walker is definitely another guy that could be a sneaky contributor, most likely as next year comes around, if the offensive line can hold their own. But nonetheless, man, I appreciate you guys watching the video. As always, if you enjoy it, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Fight on. Have a good one, guys.